Hello, music lovers, wherever on the planet you may be. We're going to work on open voicings, and our song is Autumn Leaves. So what is an open voicing, I hear you ask? Well, let's take our first chord, A minor 7th. This is a closed voicing because we've used all our chord tones right there in a row. So to open this chord up, we have to take one of those tones out and leave an open space. And then, of course, we have to put it back in someplace else. So there's A minor 7th as an open voicing. Also, most chords, unless the 5th is altered like a flat 5 or a sharp 5, you could take the 5th out too. So if we take the 5th out, we still have enough of the chord to tell what kind of chord it is. We have to have the root, the 3rd, and the 7th, and we can tell what type of chord it is. Unless, of course, the 5th has been altered. So you can tell this is A minor 7th, this is A major 7th, A dominant 7th, and the 5th just gives a little more stability to the chord. So anyway, A minor 7th, there we go. Then our next chord, D 7th, and the melody note up there is tied, but let's pretend like it isn't. And so our melody note is C, our root is D, and since it's a D dominant 7th, we need the 3rd, so we can get it like that. So here we go. G major 7th. We can have the root and the 5th, but the important thing is you have to know what your melody note is. If it's part of the chord, here it's the 3rd, so we fill in the 7th. We've got all we need. We can add the 5th if we like. And we've got C major 7th. Once again, the melody note is tied, but I'm going to pretend like it's not. So we've got C major 7th. There's our root. So what's the melody note there? What part of the chord? Is it the 3rd? No. Is it the 5th? No, it's the 7th. So we need the 3rd. If we already have the 7th, we need the 3rd, so there it is. And we could put the 5th in if we like. We could put it here. It's still open because we've got this big open space, but it might be better like that. Okay. That's one way of approaching open voicings. Another way is a series of formulas that was taught this way up at the Berklee College of Music, and it came to me through my teacher, Ted Howe. And so we have 4 formulas, depending on what part of the chord the melody note is. So if the melody note is a root, like say a C 6th chord, we use the first formula. And if it's a 3rd, we use the second formula. If it's a 5th, the 3rd formula, and if it's a 7th, we use the last formula. So we have 4 formulas depending on whether the melody note is the root, the 3rd, the 5th, or the 7th. Okay? So let's use these formulas, and there's some things you can look at down there in the description. Take a look at this as well. You can download the PDF files there and take a look at the full explanation of open voicings. All right, so quickly then I'll tell you the 4 voicings, and we'll just use C major 7th. Suppose the root is on top. Okay, if the root is on top, you see up in your chart there that the melody note is C, and the chord symbol is C major 7th. Then this is the formula. If the root's on top, the left hand plays 1 and 7, and the right hand plays 3, 5, and 1. There's our chord. Okay. If the 3rd is on top, and the next 3 formulas all have root and 5th in the base. So the next formula would have 3rd, 7th, 3rd, like that. Okay, so root 5 here, 3, 7, 3 there. And if it's a dominant 7th chord, you can change it to that. If it's a minor 7th, gotta flat the 3s, minor 7 flat 5, flat the 5. So all these formulas can be used to cover any type of chord. All right, so the next one is the 5th on top, root 5, 7, 3, 5. That's our 3rd formula, okay? And then the next one's pretty similar, 7th on top. So just move it up like that. All right, now I'll do the same formulas again with a C dominant 7th chord. So the first formula, all right, root 7, flat 7 of course, 3, 5, 1, okay, with the 3rd on top. Okay, all the other formulas use root and 5th, so we have 3, 7, 3, There's the third on top, and the fifth on top. Same thing here. 7, 3, 5. Don't play it out like this. There's too much distance in there. We want it down here. Okay? And then the seventh on top. Okay? I'll do one more, minor sevenths. All right, here we go. Okay, so using these formulas, it's very important when you're looking at the chart to instantly know when you see the melody note what part of the chord it is. So in Autumn Leaves, that's the third of A minor. So I have to use the second formula, right? It's not the root that's on top, it's the third. So I use the second formula. Of course, that means root and fifth in the bass. Unless it's the first formula, it's root and 5 in the bass. So that's the way that works. There's the third. We always have this double of an octave, and there's the seventh in there. And notice that creates like a perfect fifth and a perfect fourth right there. So it's an easy thing to find. Okay, first chord. All right, and then assuming the C is still on top, here's our next formula. The seventh is on top. We have root 5, 7, 3, 7. And look how close by it was, especially this hand. Right? There's our major seventh with the third on top. And major seventh with the seventh on top. Here's F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Remember, only the root is a black key, so everything else is white. Alright, root flat 5, 7 3 7. No, that's 3 7 3. Sorry, 3 7 3. And then B dominant seventh, root and a 5. The seventh is on top. So now I know those melody notes have been tied, but I'm playing them anyway, just to make the open voicing system clear. Now, a good way to practice a song like this is to not play all the melody, just play the chord and whatever melody note is there when the chord is played. So the first one is A minor 7th, next one's D 7th, G major 7th,